changers in the COVID with a guest that is actually happening on a Wednesday that we're not going to get interrupted. Poo, poo, poo. And we can hear, right, Cindy?
Yes, perfect.
We can hear and we can see. So I think, and I'm checking on Facebook to make sure that we're on there. And we are. This is a wonderful thing. So we don't have anybody with us. We don't have anybody with us yet.
Yes,
so
perfect.
I'm going to wait. Oh, we do have a couple people with us. I don't know. Okay, so Linda's with us. Hi, Linda. Linda Apsey's with us.
Good.
So you guys, I'm just going to ask you to talk to us because Mickey's with us. Hi, Mickey. It's hard for me to use both screens and I'm trying to see. So hi, Valerie. Hi, Sandy. Oh, we've got, so you guys, it just so happens, Tony's with us. Yay. Hi, Tony. Who else is with us? We're getting some love and it's Cindy's birthday. And so I'm going to have to sing on behalf of everybody. Wait until we have some more people with us. And then we're going to sing to Cindy. You look great, Cindy, says Linda. I don't know if you can see the comments. Cindy,
No,
can you? You can't see them on the side of the screen?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, right?
Oh, yeah. I need better glasses, but you can't go to an eye doctor.
You cannot go to an eye doctor.
Stop.
So, Cindy, how does your hair, wait, what did she say? How does your hair look great in a pandemic? Answer. Yeah. Hi, Sharon. Hi, Toby. Oh, the gang's all coming. So, Cindy, tell us, how does your hair look great in the pandemic?
Because I had a really bad haircut before the pandemic where they practically shaved my head. And I gave them a picture of what I wanted, but they never do what you want. So it was super short where chunks were missing in the back. But now, I wasn't sure if my hair was falling out or she removed some of my hair.
Oh, my.
But now all is good. So now it's pandemic hair. You get a bad haircut before a pandemic. You have to time it really, really well. I'm lucky I don't have to dye my hair, so the color will be the color.
You're really lucky.
Yeah, for those who think I really do dye my hair, you'll know.
Dr. Cindy, but I'm just informing you because you know when I do it when you're on the other side of the camera that I interrupt all the time to read the comments because that's how I got to see all of your comments. So I'm sorry to interrupt you, but whenever
I really can't see them very well, so please, I can't.
Everybody's wishing you happy birthday. So now on behalf of everybody, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Cinderella. Happy birthday to you and many more. Now that's something nobody wants to hear.
You want to see what a really good present is? Okay, if anybody wants to send me anything, okay, I have one I'm going to show you. So like in about 6 weeks from now,
okay,
more if you want to. Okay, so it's this. It is the biggest roll that exists.
Okay, now, I saw that online. How much did you pay for that? Do you remember?
You know, it was like a million rolls, really, for like $19 or something.
Oh, that's like a lot of those?
Yeah, and then when you're done, you sell them to Macy's.
So now, we even have lipstick on, Cindy. I'm so impressed.
No, it's gloss, but you know what? I just had beets. I said to my mother, these beets are going to make my tongue is probably red too, but yeah.
No, it's good. Wait, let's read some comments. So everybody's saying happy birthday to you. There's a lot of that. Well, your mom in the shot. Yeah, we want to see Roberta for a minute. Let's see Roberta.
Okay. She's sliding. She's sliding in the shot. Okay, here we go.
Hi, Roberta.
Hi, everybody. Nice to see everyone.
I have to move over a little bit
more. Yes, I feel like Roberta's like my second mother because the three of us used to go to a lot of events together and run around together. And Roberta and Cindy have been coming to Women Who Write. I don't even know how long have you guys been coming?
Many years.
Many years.
Many years.
Could it be 10 or not?
It's probably 10 years. And we're going to talk about all the people that you're responsible for bringing to Women Who Write. We're going to get to that. But let's get to some birthday love that you're getting here. Let's see. Okay.
I love it. You know, it really does help because it's a very weird birthday. And the weather's not nice out today. And we're just really stuck inside. And I just had the worst veggie burger ever.
Oh, no. Toby asked if you can spare a square, by the way.
That's funny.
Everybody's saying happy birthday to you, Sharon, Bill, Linda. Roberta's your friend. Yeah, she's all of our friends. Mickey's saying happy birthday. Did you get a cake today?
Did
you have
I just got some really skinny string beans from
so no sugar today for you?
Are you? Well, how would we have a cake mix? How do we have anything?
You have to plan ahead. Okay, so everybody, this is what I told Cindy. I was begging her for the last hour to order a pizza because I wanted to buy her a pizza for her birthday, and she's too afraid to have pizza, anything delivered. But this is what I'm telling you. Okay, this is how you do it. They deliver it. They leave it outside the door. You've paid by a credit card. You can even leave a tip in an envelope for them. You then, with tongs, bring the pizza box in the house, put it on a towel. You open it with tongs or with gloves. You take the pizza out with tongs on a plate. You put it in the microwave or in the toaster oven, which is what I prefer. Actually, the best way is in my friend Joanne taught me this, Italian girl. You take a skillet and you make it hot as you can make it. Nothing in it, no oil, no nothing. You put a piece of pizza in the skillet, you put a cover on it. It ends up getting just like from the grill, from the pizza oven in New York. The bottom gets wonderful and the cheese melts and it takes really quick. So I told Cindy tomorrow she has to, Roberta, we have to coordinate this, that you get Cindy pizza tomorrow, that you guys have pizza tomorrow. And you get a couple pies, and then you freeze the rest, and then you have it. So when you get an uli, as Joanne would say, you can have some pizza. So no cake, that's wrong. So I want you to order a cake too. I don't know how we do that. That's a little more dangerous. So yeah, it's her 50th.
You know what, though? Tomorrow I won't have the birthday feeling. That's the problem is for me, a birthday is like really special. You have the birthday feeling the minute you wake up. It has a different feeling than every other day. And so tomorrow I won't have the birthday feeling.
Did it have that feeling today?
Briefly.
Briefly?
You know what? My mother wrote me a note. I don't know if I show it to you. This was so cute. Should I show it to you? Okay.
Yeah. I want to see the note.
Okay.
I'm reading messages. You're making me hungry. It's safe. No sugar.
This was on the table. This was on the. Oh, I don't know how to get it so you can see.
No, the other way. Happy birthday. Nice.
Yeah, so that was on the kitchen. That was on, you saw it enough, right? That was on the kitchen table. So that was really, that was festive. And she gave me a card and she told me to buy myself something nice on the internet.
I love that.
Because that's about,
everybody's talking about pizza now. So Tova's saying that she's been making pizza with non-dairy cheese. I actually have some non-dairy cheese also. For making up the pizza. You know, you can get, do you eat cheese? You do. So then you can just get regular pizza. You don't have to get gluten-free, dairy-free crapola. Guess who's with us? Our COVID respiratory person. Debbie's with us.
Debbie.
We love you, Debbie. She
celebrates
all month. I like that. A birthday celebration for a month. I believe in that. Trisha's saying happy birthday. Toby says, with you on your birthday, May 14th is Toby. Okay, so you're soon too. And the thing about pizza, I'm telling you, Cindy, that you know how crazy I am. We have to talk about our disinfecting, but it's, by the way, you guys tell us how the sound is, because I'm using a microphone today. But let us know if you're having issues, because I know yesterday when I was with Harry, the sound was awful. So let us know if you're having any sound issues. Does it sound okay? And do both of us sound okay? What is everybody saying? If you can't trust pizza, what can you trust? Says Eric. Eric says that. You're absolutely right, Eric. So yeah, the write-off room is closed. Do you know about the write-off room, Cindy? Have you ever been there?
No. I don't know what
it's like. The greatest concert venue in LA, like a small little club, like the clubs we used to know from New York, and no cover, just a true drink minimum, and the greatest musicians. And I went many times. It was wonderful, and they closed, but they're going to try to reopen somewhere else. But you know, it's kind of never the same when they do that. Let's see what else people are saying. Linda says she got a box delivered yesterday from Amazon. It's tea from England, and I didn't spray the box at all. Ooh, okay.
Ooh.
I know I assist with promoting the calendar. Yes, Toby, we know that. Both sound fine. Thanks, Trish. Sound is great. Thank you, Tony. Okay, good. So we're off and rolling. So, okay, so let's talk about Cindy. Let's talk about our birthday girl. So, Cindy, how did you find out about Women Who Write to begin with? How did that happen? How did we meet?
So I was on Facebook, and I was in the middle of a political fight with somebody. And I saw Jamie Spielberg on there. And I guess we friended each other because we were the people that agreed on the same side. And then I saw on her page, Women Who Write. And so she had something on there. So I said, could you get me into that group? So
wow,
I came with her, even though I didn't know her either. I just met her on Facebook.
You had never met her in real life?
No.
Wow. People talk about Facebook and say negative things, but I got to tell you, it's been a life changer for me. I mean, we would have never met. We never would have had none of the guests we've had at Women Who Write, basically. So, okay, so let's talk about the people that you've brought to Women Who Write. What was the first? Was Garry the first?
I don't remember if Garry was the first or Meredith was the first. I don't remember really. One of them, I don't know. They were all great.
Let me see if I can put the picture up for people. I don't know if it lets you put a picture up during the show. I don't think it'll let me do it till after. Let me see if there's a way to add. I don't think there's a way that I can add on here. Is there? Let's see.
Yeah.
I think it might let me do add media.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Import from Facebook? No. Update media. Upload media. Okay, I'm gonna do this. Hey, you guys, you're gonna see us with Meredith. Okay, so now tell us about your relationship with Meredith. How did you know Meredith?
I shouldn't have started with her because I don't know Meredith, but I know somebody who knows Meredith. So yeah. So I knew somebody who knew her. So I knew that she had a book coming out. So I just asked her if she'd be willing to do it again through Facebook. And she said yes. And that was like on a day notice too.
It was so crazy, right? It was really short notice. But the thing that was even crazier was after you reached out to her, she called me on the phone within 5 minutes. And and she was like, hello, this is Meredith Baxter. And I was like, oh, what up? And she said, I never do this. And I said, I never get this. And she was like so great. And she was wonderful.
She was great.
That's amazing that you got her. Okay, so then I think Garry might have been next.
I did know Garry. Yeah, him I did know. And to get him was pretty funny and was not that easy. I've worked with him on a lot of, for him, on a lot of different shows. And I just thought he would be great for the room. And so what happened was I tried a couple of different ways to get to him. And then he agreed to do it. But his secretary was kind of standing in the way of giving me a date. So what happened was one of his producers died, and I was invited to the memorial service. And so I sat really near him, and he was eating soup. And so I thought, this is like a really good time to pitch Women Who Write while he's just eating. And he was sitting with the deceased's family. I thought, this is like a really...
Oh, my God.
So as he's like... in the manner that you would think, and I said there was, and he knew about it, but nothing was happening. So I said, you really ought to do this group. It's all women. They all write.
Wait a second. Robin is on here. Cindy's significant other. I'm screaming. Robin's on here. Hi, Robin. I'm sorry. I got distracted. Okay, so Gary's eating soup. Wait, he's eating soup at the Shiva? Not a funeral.
It was a memorial service that was at, the smokehouse in Burbank. So they had this, there was a producer, and he was Gary's best friend, and he died. And so all the writers that had worked with him were at this memorial service. And so it was like the hilarious people sitting there. Like, if a writer dies, it's like a really good function to go to because everybody's really going to make a great eulogy. It was really funny. So Garry was, eating the soup, and then I start pitching him the women who write, and that he should come. And I go, "Well, it's all women," and people go, "You like women?" And he goes, "Yeah, I like women." And I go, "And it's writers, it's some actors," and he goes, "I'll do it. And the deceased family said to him, "You should do it." And his son was there, and his son said, "You should do it." And I don't know if at that point I said it's in my friend's living room. I'm not sure I said that, but he said, "Go talk to my secretary." So now the secretary, who had really kind of been putting me off, if she's on here, I'm sorry.
I know exactly.
I'm sorry. Yeah. But I went to her and I said, "Garry said to pick a date." And that date was like finalized the next day.
Wow.
And he said yes. And so had that guy not died, you wouldn't have had him, or you would have had him 10 years from now.
So
and
Garry started calling us girls in the kitchen. The women in the kitchen.
Yeah, because I had gone through his sister. His sister said he'll do anything, and I do know him, but it was just wonderful. He agreed so quickly, and he didn't care what it was. And then when he got there, he had a book, if you remember, and he didn't want to read the book. He talked for 2 hours on writing, acting, directing, being in show business. Right. It was off the top of his head. It was I thought it was unbelievable. I was so excited.
His big advice to us was finish. That's the thing he said. And he said nobody ever died of embarrassment. And I have a really funny
because nobody ever died of embarrassment, literally. So because a lot of people don't want to share their work, because it's risky when you share your work. And you're afraid you're going to be embarrassed by somebody saying that it's not good, and you have to make phone calls and put yourself out there. And it's hard for everybody to do. There's nobody who really likes that part of the business. So he wanted to address that. He said, finish and put your stuff out there.
I don't know if you saw I'm sure you did. I made a little short video right after that where I was like sort of auditioning for him while I was introducing him. And then the last shot, it shows Garry saying no one ever died of embarrassment, literally. And then there's my grave, and it's me in there.
That's funny.
It's a really funny video. Angie made it with me. Yeah, it's really funny. I'll have to upload that today. That was such a magical day. And somebody just pointed out, Linda, that the 3 people on the left side of the photograph are all gone now: Sandy, Suzanne, and Garry. I wonder if it's like 10 little Indians and we're going to get knocked off one at a time. Jack, God forbid. Oh my God. Jackie said to say hello, by the way, before. My friend Connor Capu is on here, a guy I used to manage in the 80s, a rock and roller. Wow. Connor Tribble. Nancy Clan. Hi, Nancy. We look glam, Nancy says. Robin, when I said, who did you book in here? Robin said, me. And you did. Robin played the living room.
With Meredith, right?
Oh,
I think Meredith.
So tell us about Robin Hill. Tell us about your significant other. Give us some background. You don't know the way you make me feel.
That's right. He's English. He had a hit called "You Don't Know." He was part of a group of him and his girlfriend before me. It's a good thing to meet me first because I can't sing.
Robin says it's a secretary's job to keep crazies like you at a distance. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Tell us about Robin.
And, I met him 25 years ago at a party.
Wow.
And it was a night I was supposed to go to a movie with my friend Debbie Pearl, who, as you know, we could talk about Ed Asner. And it was one of those things. She said, we're invited to a party, and it was like, where? It sounds too far. But because I said, well, you never know, you can meet somebody. That was the night that changed my life. So you have to also say yes to things that sound too far away.
Wow, that's crazy. So taking a chance on love really worked for you. Not on love. You just, I think it's about saying yes. I think there's something about saying yes in the universe that when we say yes, where I wish I had a picture of Robin to put up here. I didn't think ahead. I'm going to take down Garry now. But yeah. So then after that, I believe our next one was Cindy Williams. So what did you do to get Cindy?
No, I didn't get you Cindy Williams, but I work with her. Oh. I got, that was, I think, Lynn Stewart.
Lynn Stewart got us Cindy, that's right.
Not Cindy, but I mean, knew her, worked with her on Laverne Shirley, which, that's the funny thing.
We have Amy Stiller with us. Amy's in the house. You know Amy?
No, Ben Stiller and wow, hi.
Yeah, sister and Jerry's daughter, Jerry and Ann. Amy is a fun actress and comedian in her own right. Hi, Amy. Yeah. And Nikki's with us and Rose is with us. And just saying hi to everybody that's joining us. Robin said, careful. I don't know what he's referring to. Okay, so let's get back to the people you brought in and then we'll talk about your working. You did bring us Cary Elwes.
Oh, yes, I forgot. That's right. I did.
Oh, I didn't forget. Wow.
Yeah. That also was a friend of mine knew him, and I met his wife, and I loved his wife. His wife is beautiful and funny and charming, and I met her. We kind of went to this thing about death row, a really cheery thing, and we sat and we had a really good time, and I got to know her.
You had a really good time about death row? Wait, explain this to me.
Yeah, so Cary had played on Broadway. He played this guy who was on death row who was innocent, and the guy was on death row for like 20 years. His name was I forgot his name, but anyway, Cary Cook. And so what happened was that the actual guy that Cary Elwes had played was doing a talk in Malibu, and I had met both of them before, but we ended up sitting together and laughing and joking around, and I just thought maybe he would. And I spent Halloween with a bunch of people, and he was in the group, and so I just thought, oh, maybe he'll do it, and he also said sure. So you'd be surprised that people they'll say yes if you kind of know them. They will say yes.
That was probably about 4 years ago. I want to say that Cary was here. It was when his book came out, and oh my God, now I can't think of his line that he said to.
As you wish, or was it as you wish?
As you wish. Yes, we got Cary to say as you wish, and
he played characters, from The Princess Bride. He played Wesley. He was in The Princess Bride.
Princess Bride.
He played Wesley, the prince. The people who don't know, and he's starring in a show now. He's starring in a show now on cable. I don't know what.
He was also on, I think, Stranger Things last season or the season before. Yes, because I got to see him just a few months ago on a panel, on a Netflix panel, and I went up to him and I said, "Cary, do you know who I am?" And he was like, he looked at me and I showed him the picture and he goes, "Oh my God!" And he took a new picture with me. He was lovely. And what was interesting was it was a very young crowd, and they did not know who he was. He was the only one not getting mobbed. Like all the Stranger Things kids were getting mobbed, and Cary was just sitting there. But then people realized who it was, and he had his people. Amy tells me she's not really funny. She's an actress. She can be funny, but she's mostly an actress. All right, but she says thanks anyway. Debbie says she adores Cary. Debbie, you deserve to meet Cary. Debbie, our COVID. You will always be our COVID person. Wait, I'm looking what they're saying to us. Toby says, nice audience in the house. I'm all ears. Cindy, you speak so fondly. Did Cindy get Norman Lear? Who got Norman Lear?
I got Norman Lear. I didn't get him, but I did work with him, and I saw him very recently at a show. And I did go up to him, and I said to him, I work for you. And I want to thank you for giving women an opportunity to be writers when when I started, there weren't that many women writers.
Oh, I love that so much. What did he say to you? Because he's very gracious, Norman.
The wife jumped in and she said, "Thank you so much for saying that. I want to talk to you." So that was really, yeah. His wife was really excited. Yeah.
I met Norman at the first time I met Norman was with Gregory Cope White. We went to see Eve Gordon in a play, and Eve and Greg had worked with Norman on what was the show that Holland Taylor was the star of? The Norman show. It was a show about the White House or something. I can't think of the name of it. Anyway, so Eve was on that show, and Greg was a writer on the show. And so we went to see it, and I met Norman. And of course, when everybody meets Norman, I assume the first thing they say is All in the Family. And I ran up to him and I went, Mary Hartman, Mary Hartman. Yeah. And it made him smile, because that's not a credit I think that most people
I love that show.
Yeah, but yeah, Norman, that was Norman. So we became, that was nice. But then I saw him at Phil Rosenthal's maybe just a month later, and I started hounding Norman then. And it took about 3 years for me to get Norman. But what a get that was. What a day that was. You guys were here for that, right?
I wasn't there.
Oh, okay.
I know.
Well, he was quite something. He's another one who talked for like Garry. And wow. Norman insisted on doing it alone. There was no music. I did have music. I'm sorry. We did have music to open for Norman, I believe. But maybe not. I think Norman maybe wanted to do it alone. It was really spectacular. But yeah, so now we've talked about all the people you've brought to Women Who Write.
I brought you Ed Asner too. Ed Asner, he was a good one.
Oh my God. Okay, so tell the story about what happened when you brought us Ed. What that became.
Yeah. My friend Debbie Pearl wrote on a show that he did called Thunder Alley, and she became friends with him. And she's done, various things with him. And I knew that she knew him really well. And I thought, oh, we got to get him. So I called her and I said, I have an idea. Why don't you write a scene for Ed and then bring him to Women Who Write? And she said, oh, I like that idea. So she called him up and she said, I'd like to write a scene for you. And you would do this again. They don't know the living room, right? And he goes, okay.
Here, by the way, I'm shouting out. Everybody's talking about what we were talking about. I feel bad that I'm not addressing the comments like I normally do, but we'll get to you guys. Connor, of course, I give you a shout out. Debbie says Ann Richards, the actress from the. Who brought up Ann Richards? Did you bring up Ann Richards? Tova was obsessed with Mary Hartman. Amy, Nancy was here for Norman. Yeah, I know you were, Nancy. Okay, I'm sorry, I interrupted your story. Let's go back. Back to you.
So Debbie said to him, okay, I'll write you something. What do you want me to write about? And you won't be surprised that Ed said fucking. She said, okay, I'll write you a scene about fucking. That's what he said. And so she did. And he appeared. And she then, and then she was in it with him. She read the line.
It was called Getting Ed Laid.
She did a short and won awards. All from just, do you want to write a scene? Yeah, that ended up to be really good. He's great.
And that's the thing that Debbie wrote it for Ed to do with her in the living room. They did it. She then made it into a little thing, and Jean Smart played the part with Ed, and they won awards for Getting Ed Laid. And then I got to interview Ed in his den wearing boxer shorts and fuzzy slippers, and he wore a Santa cap for me. And all his Emmys were around us. And he ate pizza during the show and went to the bathroom during the show. You gotta love Ed. And then he came back. He did it again when he took him out last year.
He's great. He's wonderful. I've met him a couple of times. He's great. He's so warm and sweet. And he acts like when you talk to him, like you're important. He's one of those people that asks you, he goes, well, so what do you do? That's what he'll say when you meet him. What do you do? Yep.
He really cares. Debbie says her uncle was on the Mary Tyler Moore Show. The middle desk in the office. I used to go every week to the taping. Oh my God, Debbie. You're a rock star. This is more fun than cable news, says Eric. Linda says, where's Linda? Yes, Holland Taylor was here. Powers That Be. Thank you. Thank you, Linda. That was the show, The Powers That Be. That was the show that Greg and that Gordon were on. Ed's a Scorpio. Yes, he is. What did you expect? He's a fucking Scorpio, the sex sign. I'm a fucking Scorpio, the sex sign too. Happy birthday from Trish. Since we all must stay at home, I thought it would be sweet if I wrote you a poem. You're amazing and super special in every way. I hope, although you're in quarantine, you had a blessed birthday.
Wow.
Thank you for being here with us, a bunch of Facebook strangers, as we enjoy your interview with Vicki Abelson on Game Changers. All the best. That's from Trish. Yay, that was terrific.
Wow.
You got a birthday poem.
That was amazing.
Did you think new TV and movies will be cartoons since actors can't perform together with crews to assemble?
Who said that? That's genius.
Jill is asking that question. Jill Stacy.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. I remember, like, about a year ago, there was a trend where they were doing commercials where they were like cartoon, but they kind of looked like people. You weren't really sure. And they're saving money on doing that. So, you know, I bet you're right.
They've already started. I saw this. They've cartoonized some sitcom right now. I just saw that yesterday. Amy Stiller says, my mom was on Rhoda as Sally. Hell yes. The aging stewardess, Ann Mira. Hell yeah.
Ann Mira. Oh my God. I remember. You want to hear something funny? When I was starting out, somebody knew, still Ann Mira, and I wasn't a writer yet. And I don't know, did you live in Great Neck? Because somebody was going to bring a script over to the house, to wherever they lived. I remember thinking, still Ann Mira. I used to watch them on the Ed Sullivan Show. It was so funny. So both of them were absolutely wonderful. I'm honored that Amy is watching.
Oh, that's so sweet. Linda says, Michelle Hines' birthday today also. Hi, Michelle. Happy birthday. Miss you. Oh, my God. I would love for her to watch later and see it. Amy, I loved your mom. We all who didn't love Ann Mira? Oh, my God. Claymation. Toby says there's going to be claymation. Amy says, Vicki, you have the same vocal qualities as Elaine Boozler. Do you think? I love Elaine. Do you think so, really? I'm flattered. Elaine and I met on Facebook 12 years ago and became fast friends. And she's done Women Who Write a few times. I love Elaine. Hi, Dave. He's saying hi to you. Dave's on, Cindy. He's saying hi to you. Anne grew up in Rockville Center. But Amy, where did you guys live? They lived on the Upper West Side, right? So they didn't live on Long Island.
Yes,
except
of them, yeah. But I remember being really excited that they could possibly even look at anything that I wrote. So yeah, they were big deals. That's a dynasty, that family.
Absolutely. So okay, so let's hear some juicy stories. So what was your first sitcom, Cindy?
The first sitcom was The Bad News Bears, and that starred Jack Warden. And a lot, and also the kids all became stars, like Corey Feldman. I mean, there were a lot of children on that show that ended up doing very well too. But that was my first show at Paramount.
Were you here when Corey did The Living Room?
Yeah, and what's funny is I gave him some photos that I had of him as a little boy. He was about 8, and I had pictures of him and his father. And he said, "Can you email this to me, because I have no photos of my childhood." So I sent him all these pictures I had that I took. He was 8, and it was not a very.
His son was here that day. His son, who was about 8 at the time, was here that day. And so you sent him the pictures from his childhood? Wow.
Yeah, and it was a really wonderful picture of him and his father, and he doesn't have a relationship with his father, so he really liked that photo. which was interesting. I don't know why he doesn't have any childhood photos. I don't know what the story is, but he did thank me for them.
Wow.
My first show was the Bad News Bears, like I said, at Paramount.
And how was that as an experience, as a writer? How was that experience?
Well, I was hired as an apprentice writer, and that meant they taught you, but you went off on the first day and wrote. You know, they would give you a scene, and what they did is they would couple you with somebody else. They would team you with somebody else.
How you got your partner?
At that point, I did not. No. So I wrote the things myself, and they pitch it out to you. You know, they tell you what's in the scene, and then they give you a couple of jokes, and then you have to go off, and then in an hour or whatever time they give you, you come back, and you're an apprentice writer, but you're facing all the people that are experienced, and then they read it out loud, and either you hit or you don't. Very, very nerve-wracking. And I was lucky because I was a good joke writer, and that's like really important to them. And then they rewrite everything, and maybe if you're lucky, one line stays. But I loved it. I mean, I love the pressure. I love being sent off. I just thought it was so much fun. I love walking around a lot. Paramount in those days had a lot of movie stars. You'd see Cary Grant walking around and all these amazing people. I was 24 years old. I just thought this is like the most exciting experience.
How did you get your first gig, Cindy? By the way, Eileen says hi, and Dave says happy birthday. How did you get your first? How did you get your first gig?
I wrote a spec script in graduate school. I went to school for writing, and then
what school did you go to?
I went to the New York Institute of Technology on Long Island in the old Westbury.
And what did you do the text? What was your spec script on? What show?
Well, it was Laverne Shirley, and 3 years later I was on staff there, and I didn't know a single soul in Hollywood or anybody when I wrote that script. But that was my dream to be on that show. So it was like 2-3 years.
Okay, so you're on Bad News Bears, and so how long was Robert Wall on that show?
No,
he was in the movie. He was in the movie. So okay, so what? How long did you stay on the Bad News Bears, and where did you go from there?
So what happened was, like a lot of shows, it ended. You know, it gets canceled.
Right.
You know, they move it to another night, and then nobody watches, and it's over. But then what happened, which was really interesting, was one of the producers was hired onto Laverne Shirley, and then I was offered that job. So I ended up with my dream just because of what would seem like a happenstance, really, or not. I don't know. I didn't do anything to get that job, that particular job. So it was an absolute dream come true for me, because that was what my dream was. I had 2 spec scripts. Both were Laverne Shirley's. And then I wrote a spec, Mork and Mindy, and I ended up doing that show on staff too. So a lot of times I'm really one of these people that think if you manifest something.
I was just going to ask you about that. Do you think you manifest your dreams?
Yeah, I do. I do. How do you explain? How could you explain any of those things? I mean, if I particularly tried to get a job on something that I wrote, then no, that's my effort. So it was my effort plus some serendipity. You know, my mother knew something. The other thing is my mother had a friend, and my mother was telling everybody Cindy wants to be a writer. And my mother knew somebody who was a writer on Laverne and Shirley later on. And it was Babaloo Mandel. A lot of people on here will know Babaloo Mandel and Lowell. And when I went out to LA, it was her nephew. And so when I went out, I called a lot of people's nephews, and a lot of people's and a lot of people anything. And that was the one that, you know, he said, I'll read your scripts, and then gave it to his boss, Lowell. At the time, it was Lowell Gans. They became really well-known movie writers. You know, they did tons of Splash and City Slickers, and, you know, but at that time they were doing television. And then I got to meet with, I got to go see how shows are shot. They invited me. I got to sit in writers' meetings, and I thought, I think I could do this. Because how would you really know, really? But I got to go on the set. I got, so I really wanted to do that. And then what happened was Lowell Gans sat down with me in my scripts, and he said, you need to move from New York to LA if you want to be a writer. And
Wow.
he said, you have talent. He said, you have no idea what a story is, but he said, you'll learn.
Yeah. Well, it's good that he's honest with you.
Well, what?
Go ahead.
I was going to say, you can't teach people to be funny, but you can teach them format. That's what he said. Is so, your script could be really terrible, but if he could recognize that somebody has a good sense of humor or sense of character, the rest can be taught. Now, it was very different from when I was starting out. Now everybody wants to be a writer, and they take really great classes with really good teachers. So it's probably much harder even now, in a way, to make it, because the competition is much stiffer.
This is a great one for the COVID crazies. Wait, Laura says, doors so often open, and not because you grab the door handle.
Uh-huh.
We don't grab door handles these days.
No, that's funny.
Yeah.
I like
Debbie
that.
says, I worked with Joel Zwick, who directed Laverne Shirley.
Oh, yeah.
Not some of the episodes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Trish. Trish says this is so great. Familiar names with credits, amazing. This interview is just awesome. Nice. I'm funny, no form. I don't know what that means. Okay, Cindy, if you had questions, who was your go-to person if you had questions when you were writing?
Does that mean on my first job or on any job, or?
It means that when you were a young writer, and you had questions, who did you have a go-to person? Did you have a mentor, I guess is what.
Well, what ended up happening was Babalu certainly, I gave my script, the script that was the closest to being submitted, I gave to him, and he went over it, and he gave me notes. Some of the things I didn't really understand, like for instance, there was a scene that I wrote, and it ended with a cereal. It had a cereal. Somebody was pouring cereal. I don't remember why, but so he said to me, "You need a button here," and I said, "I need a button there." So like, I'm thinking, you pour the cereal and a button just falls out. What? Why? Okay, I didn't really understand, and I didn't know a button meant the end of the scene. A lot of it just means the final joke in a multi-camera show is the final joke before you move to your next scene. But that was the person that he went over my scripts, but truly how I learned to write was on the job. And so you would have, when they would go over your scripts with you, and it would be in front of everybody, they would give you a list of things never to say. They said, they would say, well, now we're going to go back a long time. So these are very dated things, but I'll tell you at the time what the do not do a Dolly Parton joke. They said your hairdresser can do that. We're not hiring you to do a Dolly Parton joke.
That's something Garry Marshall would say.
I'm sure.
Anyway.
And you're right. And the people that I was working with were trained by Garry Marshall. So each group gave the Garry, absolutely. Gary's thing was always throw out page 8. You don't need page 8. I don't know what that means, but we all said you don't need page 8. Get rid of page 8.
Gary also said, like, he had a funny thing where Carl Reiner was writing for him or something, and they brought in a scene, and it was something like the flight attendant, I don't know, the doorman says something funny, and Gary was like, "You're the writer. You write this something funny." He said something funny.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. The other thing that they said, oh my God, this is a good story. I remember this. There was a guy on staff that everybody hated, and the reason everybody hated him is he was the lover of a big shot executive at Paramount. So he was put on the show, and he made 3 times the amount of me. And he had no experience, just like me. So, I mean, people just did not like him. And so he would always be going to meetings and movie meetings and all. And the more meetings he went to and he wasn't sitting at his desk, they hated him more and more. So what happened was they gave us They gave us a list of the 3 things do not ever say. One was do not have a Dolly Parton joke. One was do not ever say we're about to have a close encounter of a whatever kind. You know, don't do that.
There was a time when every show used that joke. Yeah.
And the third one, it probably would still hold up today. And I think Woody Allen is guilty of it, is what am I, chopped liver? That was the third one. They said, we do not hire you to do that. Your mom could say that. Don't do that. So this particular guy was off in a meeting when they gave us these 3 rules. And he comes back and he's given a scene alone to write. Nobody wanted to write with him. And, you know, everybody has to hand in their scenes and they get up to his scene and he had 3 of them. He had, this is going to be a close encounter of whatever kind. And he had, what am I, chopped liver? And they took the script and they threw it across the room. And it was like, this is so good. And he was fired very, very shortly after. So,
fantastic. By the way, so Eileen said, I'm now throwing out page 8 on everything. Okay, so I know you have a Robin Williams story, Mork and Mindy, you know, Robin, oh my God. So to tell us about Robin Williams.
Yeah, that was, you know, I work with a lot of really iconic people.
Yes, you have.
That one was, he was really special and the people on the show knew he was really special. And, you know, he was just innately funny. You know, everything was written. What people don't really understand about the show is every line was written.
Ella says she would read a book about these stories. So I think you have a book to write, Cindy, because it's true. Your stories are great. Go ahead. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
Okay, so every line was written in a script because not that he wasn't funny or clever, but the other actors were not improv actors. So if he were going to start changing the script, they'd be standing there not really knowing what to say. But what would happen is he would have laughs at the reading. And then when it would be up on his feet in front of the writers, we didn't laugh as much as the day before. So he'd want all new lines. So you'd work like 3 in the morning, replacing every single line that was already really good.
Oh my God.
And it was getting harder and harder, and we were getting more and more tired as the season went by, and you have less scripts, you know, done. So anyway, what would happen is, so Tuesday he'd get all new jokes, and then everybody would laugh. Well, then he wouldn't be happy the next day, and so he ended up having replacement jokes for a lot of different lines. So what would happen would be is if he was doing it in front of an audience, and they had to retake it, he would use one of the jokes that was earlier in the week. So so he could have 3 choices on many of the lines, and he was very bright. And I'm not saying he never ad-libbed, he did, but far less than you would think, really.
Right.
So a lot of people would say things like this to me: do you just write Mindy's lines? I go, how would it work? I don't even know how that would work.
That's hysterical. You must have known Taylor Negron. I'm assuming that was somebody. You didn't know Taylor?
No, but I knew of him. I mean, he was on a lot of shows, you know, but I didn't know him personally, no. And I liked him.
So I thought that you knew him.
No, but I could give you a really good Robin Williams story, a personal story that I have. So, you know, the writers, it depends on the show that you're on. On some shows, you know the actors better than others. And on some shows, writers are encouraged not to be that friendly with the actors because then they give us the actors. What?
Can you give us an example of that where that was so?
Well, what would happen just in general is people might come up to you and say, "You're my writer." And they didn't want you to be partial, you know, to anybody. So generally the writers were pretty separate from the actors, but you'd kind of know them. In certain shows, you knew them better, definitely. So Mork and Mindy, I'm not a personal friend of his by any means. But one day I was walking across the lot And I was going to the reading, when they've all got their scripts and they're going to read the script for the first time, at a table with all the writers, the producers, the production people. And you go through the script, so everybody knows, whether it's wardrobe, everybody knows what what's expected of them, and they could ask questions of the producers. And it's really, the Robin Williams one was really, really fun. So I was walking by myself. I had parked the car, and I hear somebody whistling and yelling, "Wait up!" And so I turn around, and it's him, and he's pretty far away. And I'm thinking, it can't be me. Why would he tell me to wait up? So I look behind me, and there's nobody behind me. So I'm thinking, I don't know. I guess it's me. So I wait for him, and he catches up to me, and then we're walking, and he doesn't really say anything. So then I think, oh, I'll just make small talk. So I said, well, what are you doing during the hiatus? I remember he was going to do GARP at the time. Remember the world of GARP. And so I'm kind of talking and talking. And then he gives me like really short answers. And I'm thinking, I wanted to say, why did you want me to wait up? You have absolutely nothing to say to me, nor do you really want to say anything to me. So anyway, we walked all the way across the lot. And of course, it was really far. And we get into the room where the reading was, and it was like a switch had flipped, and he became Robin Williams, and was crazy and funny, and one-on-one he was really shy. I mean, I knew that's what it was. It wasn't me. It had nothing to do with me at all. But he felt, that one-on-one kind of thing was really weird. But that personality change was so interesting to me.
Absolutely. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
And the other thing that I remember, there was a lot of drug use, and they hired a guy to drag him out of bed every single morning or wherever he was. I think he had some kind of a motel room or something. There was somebody in particular, and I was on the set the day after he was with John Belushi, and John Belushi.
I think Robin lived in Chateau Marmont also. Maybe, yeah.
We were on the set. We were waiting for rehearsal. We had just heard that he was with John Belushi, who had died the day before, and from drug. For the people who don't know, from drug use. And he walked in, and we was like sitting in the stands waiting for the run through. And he looked up at us and he said, "I know what you all think. You think I'm next." And then it was like supposed to like go be funny. So that was like another really kind of interesting. And then the other thing was, he was very, very upset when the show was canceled. He was crying. They had to pull him from, backstage, wherever his dressing room was or anything. I mean, he really did care about the show. He really did want it to go on. He was very emotional. But I just saw he had a light in his eyes that I think very few people have. There was a twinkle. There was a lot of, at times, joy. That you could see that there was some pain in his eye. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading into it, but I used to think that he was a very interesting person. I felt really bad that he had that kind of end, because I thought he was a genius.
Well, he certainly lived a very full life while he lived, and the personal tragedies are all horrible, but the legacy that he's left behind is extraordinary. And everybody that I know that knew him, everybody loved him like crazy. My husband got to do improv with him at the comic strip in 1980 or something, and yeah, that was crazy. All right, so let's talk about Laverne Shirley for a bit, because there's been a lot of public conversation about the fact that Penny Marshall, you almost got me Penny Marshall. We came this close to getting Penny Marshall, but Penny got sick. She said yes, but then she had a recurrence of her cancer and ended up backing up, but she did say yes. This close we got. So was there a competitive thing with Penny and Cindy? Was that a real thing?
From what I understand, they used to have those National Enquirer articles that, would say they count lines and all kinds of different kind of things. I mean, there were a couple of funny stories that I remember while I was on the show. One of the things that happened, and this is really funny, trying to remember which one, if it was Penny. It was Penny. She had seen in TV Guide that there was going to be a rerun that week, and she saw that it was a Shirley rerun, and the week before was a Shirley rerun. So it was the audience was in their seats when she was sitting back there reading the TV Guide, and she said, you don't need me. You only need her. And so she went out to her car, and the producer, I remember, was running after her, and we all were laughing because we were thinking she was yelling, and their dressing rooms were right next to each other, so everybody could hear everything. So everybody always said Cindy Williams was just in her dressing room going, oh, So the producer said to her, "We don't pick the reruns. The network picks the reruns. It's just next week it'll be a Laverne rerun, maybe. I don't really know." So that was one of the things that happened. The other thing that was really funny was, Cindy Williams had some spats with the studio, and she ended up leaving. And then, like, Penny was bringing in all her celebrity friends. So what happened was, when Cindy left, for some crazy reason, the ratings went up that week. So there was a writer named Harry Crane, and he said, "Now, if we could just get rid of Laverne."
Oh my God!
We'd have a hit again.
About Laverne and censorship. What was that? What's that about?
So, so my partner and I, Lisa Kite, wrote a script, and the script was about Laverne's cousin comes from Italy to visit her, and at some point in the script, he goes and he works at the zoo, and a bear escapes. See, I'm thinking this. I'm thinking, I don't know how we did this, but a bear escapes. And what happens is the bear walks into the apartment where Laverne and Shirley are sitting, and they have to get a real bear. They don't get a guy in a bear costume. They get at first when we wrote it, we wrote it was a lion, and they said that's too dangerous, but we'll give you a bear. So the bear was trained on marshmallows. Wherever marshmallows were, the bear would go where the marshmallows were to eat it. So Penny and Cindy was sitting on the couch, and the bear was going to come in behind them, and they were not going to see the bear. And they had to do their lines knowing this bear was going to go right, giant, big, huge bear was going to eat this marshmallow. And in the series, they had Laverne like scooter pies, which, is partially marshmallow. Right. So so there was actually a stage direction we wrote, and it said, "The bear enters." Bear enters. So the bear, and the audience is like, if the bear gets mad, and they also said to them, "You can't have your period or the bear will attack you." That was the other thing. Yes, they had to find out there's no bleeding from whatever.
Able to have their period. God,
to scare you into getting it, So they're eating, they're talking about the cousin or whatever who's not home. They don't know where he is, and then the bear comes in and goes right in between them, and grabs the scooter pie. And then Laverne, they look, and it's not like a bear is in your house all the time. So they're screaming, right? And they're screaming, and the bear is following them around because she still has that scooter pie. And so now the cousin, who is played by, forgetting his name, he was a famous football player that became an actor. I can't remember at the moment. But anyway, so what happens is the cousin comes in, and he says something to the bear to call the bear off in Italian. So they needed a line that was, what does he say to the bear? He says something, and then what does Laverne say? She needed a line. So the line that we had is, "It must be Italian for don't kill the virgins." Well, that time they had censors who said you can't say virgin. You can't say virgin. And it was like
Wow.
my first really big joke in a show. And it was like, no, oh no, this is terrible. This is terrible. Oh, I was like so excited. It's like I finally get a real line in a show. So the producers had a big, huge fight with this, they were called censors at the time, and then they became standards and practices, and now there isn't any at all, and they could use some probably, but they left it. So if you watch that episode, they say must be Italian for don't kill the virgins. Don't eat the virgins. It probably was. I don't remember. Maybe don't eat the virgins. But anyway, yeah. And when you think nowadays, you could say all kinds of stuff, and I don't mind bad language, but it better be funny. And a lot of the stuff I see is like bad words for the sake of bad words, and I don't.
Okay, so Cindy, you know that I'm a foul-mouthed person all the time, and yet you still come and watch Shooting the Shit every day.
I'm on a show that is called Shooting the Shit, right? That's.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of built in, isn't it? Okay, so tell us about Lucille Ball, because I can't believe you have a Lucy story.
I do have a Lucy story. So the reason I wanted to write Laverne Shirley was because my favorite show was I Love Lucy. So what happened was I did a show that you'll know called Alice with Linda Lavin.
Dave asked you to please tell a story about working on Alice. That I was going to tell you. That was one of the comments. I've been trying to read them really fast.
This is a good story.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the producers of Alice was Madeline Davis and Bob Carroll Jr., and they wrote every I Love Lucy. So when they took over so Alice originally, was a movie, and then it became a television show, and it was a single camera show, and the ratings were not good. So they brought in Bob and Madeline to make it a multi-camera funny show. That's a broader show rather than more like a little movie. So I mean, I was very excited to work on that show. I mean, I didn't particularly it wasn't my sensibility. I don't really like that sort of Southern humor, but I was so excited. And Linda Lavin is just so good that I ended up being very fond of the show when I was working on it.
Did Women Who Write, were you here when Linda did Women Who Write?
Yeah, that was great. I think she's really wonderful. And I ended up really, really liking the show. But I had the Kiss My Grits and all that. That wasn't really my thing, but but Bob and Madeline, I really wanted to know Lucy stories. The first day I met them was like, could you tell me Lucy stories? And they were older writers, and they said, well, we don't want to be dinosaurs, so we don't really talk about it. So I was like, oh, I'm a dinosaur too. Can't you tell me? So I was like, they really didn't want to talk about it. So what happened was two things happened. One is they eventually did talk about it the last day of the show. They said, we'll take you out for lunch, and we'll tell you anything you want to know. So I got really good Lucy stories and Desi stories and cheating stories and all kinds of good stuff.
All right, we need a story, Cindy.
I can't tell all of them, but I'll tell this Lucy story. So they had a Christmas party for Alice, and they invited everybody that they had ever worked with. So you had people like Mary Wicks from Lucy, who did, she was the ballet teacher, right? A one, then a two, whatever. And they had Mrs. Howell from Gilligan's Island. It was like, this is like the greatest party. It's like, this is my childhood right in this apartment. Well, what happened was I knew Lucy was going to be there. And I said to them, would you introduce me to her? Like, that would really mean a lot to me. And they said, yes, but we'll tell you when. Like, don't go over to her. We'll tell you when. Like, okay, that's fine. So she was the first guest there. So she did not make an entrance. She wanted to be sitting. I don't know if that meant she didn't walk well. It was maybe it was 1984. I don't think she died that much later, probably. I don't know, maybe a couple of years later. So she was the first one there. And there was a point they came over to me and they said, you can meet Lucy now. And I got really nervous. I went from being like, I really want to meet her to like, now I'm not so sure. I was just like, oh my God. So they, they brought what?
It's intimidating. Lucy's intimidating.
So she was sitting with her husband, Garry, was his name Morton?
Robert Morton. Yeah.
And I always felt bad, but like she wasn't married to Desi anymore. So it was like this schleppy guy was sitting next to her. I was like, I know. It's like she's not with Desi anymore. I don't know. So anyway, we were introduced to her, and she said, "I love women writers. Sit down with me." So we were talking television, comedy, who she thought was funny. She was talking about that she didn't like that actors.
Who did she say that she thought was funny? Do you remember?
She said that actors were tipping the jokes. She said like they would smile before a line, and like Lucy played things very sincerely and very straight, although she was doing absurd things. The character was very sincere. And so she said that an actor that she loved, she said, one of those new actors that I love is John Ritter. She thought she loved him. So anyway, while we're talking to her, and I mentioned some episode, and it was an episode, it was called Madam X, where Lucy thinks Ethel is a cat burglar and the other one thinks the other one is. And she goes, "I don't remember that." And I was like, "You don't remember that?" She goes, "No, I don't remember that." I said, "Oh, okay." Now, while I'm talking to her, her husband is going, "I've been married to Lucy for 24 years, but I know her 25 years. I go, "Well, that's nice." And then she was saying, Desi was a genius. He started the 3-camera shows. Right. And then her husband kept saying, "You know what? I know Lucy." And he kept saying that. It's like, "You're not Desi. You're not Ricky. I'm sorry, you're not Ricky." I kept thinking that. And so anyway, we talked to her for about a half hour. And so afterwards, I just couldn't believe it. I was talking to Bob and Madeline, and I said, "It's really weird." I said, "She doesn't remember all the episodes." He said, "You know how many episodes that she's done?" And so what's really funny is I'm on this page called the new Leave It To Beaver, a Facebook page, and I wrote for the new incarnation of that show. Well, they posted a show the other day that has my name on it, but I have no recollection ever of working on it, writing it. So I'm Lucy at this point. It's like I don't remember a lot of stuff anymore.
Dave says Lucy died in '89. So what you saw her, pretty close to. Maybe she was trouble walking.
I didn't see her leave, and I didn't see her get there. And believe me, I was watching.
Okay, so speaking of funny ladies, that's a great story. I just love that. And I love that she loves women writers and that she celebrates women. I love that she did. How about Carol Burnett?
Carol Burnett was my other hero. I just absolutely love Carol Burnett. I used to watch the show with my friend on the phone. Do you remember watching television on the phone with your friends? So Carol Burnett was one of them.
Cord, right? The cord is going, they had the long cord so you could walk around the house.
Yeah. So what happened was this connects to work, but it doesn't start out as work. My brother met her daughter at Larry Parker's. Do you remember Larry Parker's diner in Beverly Hills? It was like a 24-hour diner. Yeah. So my brother just by happenstance happened to meet her daughter, and they started dating. And I was like, "Oh my God, this is like the best thing ever. You got to keep dating her. This is like, maybe you can marry her. Maybe it was just like so good." And the daughter was Carrie. Carrie, Jody, I think, right? Carrie, it was wonderful. I love Carrie. She was really wonderful. So, they were dating for a long time, and I got to meet Carol. It was just like, oh my God. So, if I went to see any of Carrie's things, Carol was there. Well, then Carol knew that I was a writer. So I was in Hawaii, and she invited me to her house in Hawaii. It was my brother and me and her kids. That was it. And like 2 other people. That was it. And so I'm sitting at her table, and I'm going, I couldn't help gushing, going, "I wanted to be in your audience." She goes, "Well, now's your chance. You can ask me a question."
Oh my God.
And I'm thinking, I can't even come up with anything witty that I'm just, I thought, oh my God. Then I did come up with something. I'm sure it was stupid. And then she said to me, "Downstairs, I have a wall. And anybody that, she had a lot of celebrity friends. She said, anybody, Elizabeth Taylor, she told stories, wonderful stories. And she showed me her, her pictures, her personal pictures. And it was like, this was like the greatest night of my life. So she said, "Okay, I want you to do me a favor." She said, I want you to go downstairs, and there's a wall, and on that wall, anybody that is my guest has to write something. So go down there and write something on the wall. So I go down there, and there's every famous person ever in Hollywood has written on that wall, and I'm thinking, whatever I write is going to sound stupid now. I can't even think, So I wrote something that, I think I wrote half a joke and said my partner's not here, so I can't finish it. I just did not know what to do. So I go back upstairs, and then she starts telling me that she wants me to write with her best friend. Instead of me having my partner, like to write with her friend, who was a big writer at the time on her show. I forgot I do remember his name, but I'm not going to say his name. But anyway, okay. So she then arranges a dinner, and we go to Mr. Chow's in Beverly Hills. She says, I want you to meet your new partner. I didn't really know what to say because it was like that wasn't going to happen. But I wanted to go to Chow's with Carol Burnett. Like that was like really good. So I go there, and Jane Fonda's at the next table, and she comes over, and Carol goes, "This is Jane," and it's like, I love Jane Fonda. Oh my God, this is like better and better and better. I know. So then one day, phone rings, and I'm there. My brother is there, and my brother answers the phone. That's when people didn't have cell phones; like other people would answer your phone. So he says to me, I'm putting on makeup putting on like some mascara or something. And he goes to me, Carol's on the phone. And I go, Carol, who? He goes, Burnett. And I said it really loud because I didn't know anybody named Carol that would be calling me. So I pick up the phone and I go, hello. She goes, what were you expecting? Carol Channing?
Oh my God. I
She goes, I want you to do me a favor. She said, I met a young actress in Canada, and I want you to pitch her. I was doing Madeline with Madeline Kahn. We were writing the pilot, and I had told her that. So
Madeline Kahn, yeah.
She said, can you get her an audition? And I go, yeah, I think, yeah, sure. So when I went to work, I said, don't ask me why, but Carol Burnett called me yesterday. And she wants to know if, you'll audition this girl. And they go, yeah, okay. There were a lot of Carol stories, but that she's as charming and as funny.
Cindy, how you never got me Carol?
Well, it's a long time ago. I haven't seen her in all of these years. She had moved at one point to Hawaii. Then my brother broke up. They broke up, the Cary and him. And it was like, no, don't break up. What are you crazy? It was like such a mistake. I know. So, so it was really fun while it lasted. I got to go to restaurants with her, and people come over and audition for her and do weird things. Lots of really, and she's, to see what their lives are like, somebody of her stature, she's still really, really big all these years later.
And she did have a book come out fairly recently. I've never really asked Jody point blank. I think I've said, kind of danced around it with Jody. I love her daughter, Jody Hamilton. She's fabulous. And Jody's been to Women Who Write, but I've never really gutsed up say, all right, let's get this in the book here.
She doesn't know who I am. Jody would definitely know my brother. Definitely. Absolutely. So, I was at that dinner at Carol's house. Jody was there.
That's so crazy.
I have pictures of Jody.
So now I hate to bring this up in the midst of all this fun stuff, but tell me about Bill Cosby.
Bill Cosby. So he was doing a show in New York, and it was called Here and Now, and it was a spin-off, kind of. They were giving the son, Theo, the Jamal Warner, I think his name was, the one who played Theo in the show. They were giving him a show. I don't know that it was an official spin-off, but Bill Cosby was the executive producer. And I knew the producers you would know, Jay Moriarty.
Jay, yes, Jay,
and Mike Milligan. And they were running the show for Bill, Mr. Cosby. And so they asked me if I wanted to do an episode. It would be possible if I came to New York. I was saying I was going to go to New York, visit my family, and this was, they were in LA, I guess, for the week. And they said, but you have to have Bill has to read a script. before he has to approve your script. So I submitted something, and they said he liked it. So I knew that was a possibility of me getting a script. So I came to New York for a visit. It was Christmas, and they said,
was this at the height of the Cosby thing?
Was right after yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it was right after that show. They gave, like I said, they gave the Sun his own show.
I don't remember when that was, but yeah, okay.
It was in 1994.
Okay.
So, I thought I was going to do an episode, and they told me to come down to the set, and that was fun. It was at Kaufman Studios in that was like pretty fun. And I went. I was going to go onto the set, and so when I went onto the set, Cosby was directing the scene, although he was not the director. He was directing the scene, and saying, "They go here, whatever." And so Jay brought me over to him, and without being introduced, Cosby put his arm around my shoulders, and he continued to.
Oh no! You have a Me Too story?
Well, not really. No, but it was a little. But you know what? The mindset is really interesting. When he did that, and he continued to direct the scene. I thought, well, this is weird. I don't know this guy, but it's Bill Cosby. He has his arm around my shoulder. You do give them more leeway than some stranger, because anybody else, you'd say, what are you doing? But I was like, wow, this is Bill Cosby. Is his arm around my shoulder? But I had heard stories about him, to be honest. I knew somebody that worked for him. It was a woman. And I knew he said disgusting things, and he invited her for notes up at his hotel room. I did know that. I didn't know he was drugging people or anything like that. Right. And I wasn't scared of him. But I did know that about, that it wasn't cool what he was doing, that he said some really not nice things. So anyway, he was directing the scene, and then he finished the scene, and then Jay said to him, Cindy, oh shit, he said, Mr. Cosby, or, they'd call him the general, or Mr. Cosby, but, this is Cindy, so he knew at that point that I had submitted that script. And they said, and Jay said to me, and you, of course, know who he is. And I put out my hand and I said, it's nice to meet you, Mr. Newhart. And he laughed. He laughed.
Cool.
So I went home, and I got a call, and they said, you not only have a script, we're putting you on staff. He likes you.
Wow.
Yeah, and he was respectful.
That was a very ballsy thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jay remembers it a little differently. I've remembered it this way, so I've told it this way. Jay remembers it a little differently, but I'll stick with this version because that's the one that I remember.
I have Jay on the show. I'll ask his version of it.
Ask him his version. His version is probably the right one, but I like this version. That's the one I remember.
I like your version. So, all right. So I'm going to ask you to tell us one more story, and then we have to do some COVID talking before we go, because this is what you and I do. But in the meantime, we have to do some disinfecting. So you said you have a great story about the worst office ever.
Oh, yeah. So there was a studio, it was called Orion, and it was in Century City. And we were writing a pilot, which was like an I Love Lucy type of pilot for them. And we didn't have an office. But we said, you can't find any office for us? And they said, no. So there was a hallway that connected, like, these offices were like in a big square around like a perimeter. And in the middle, they had a hallway with 2 doors that connected both sides of the hallway. So we just thought, well, we'll just work in the hallway. And in the hallway were a lot of boxes. They were like just junk in boxes. So we so people would walk through and think like, who are these 2 people just sitting here and talking? But we're actually working when we're talking. So what we did is we took the boxes and we arranged them so it was like a maze to see if the people, like rats, would walk around the boxes and not say anything. I mean, we didn't know any of the people. So we arranged the boxes, and the people are like going around just for our amusement, going, wow, let's see what we can get them to do. So one day, my partner, she went to the bathroom or something, and I was sitting there, and I had my eyes closed. I was just like daydreaming, and I hear the door open, and I thought, it's not as much fun laughing when you're by yourself watching the people around the boxes. So this guy walks in, and I look at him, and I go to him, I know who you are. I go, you're Jim Lang from The Dating Game. And,
Wow.
and he goes, yeah. And I go, well, now that my eyes are open and I'm looking closer, you're not Jim Lang. You just kind of look like him. Forget it. So he goes, no, I am. I said, no, you're not. I can see now you're not him. So he's still walking around the boxes, and he gets to the other end. And I said, you know what? If you're really Jim Lang, I said, say something from The Dating Game. And he says to me, and here they are.
That's great. That's great. Dun, 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 dun. As a matter of fact, I think it was either Lynn or Tracy. I think Lynn Stewart was on The Dating Game like 3 different times. I think she has some dating game stories that she told. That's very funny. So, all right, Cindy, we have to talk about the COVID crazies, because that's how everybody knows us together and these days. So, all right. So you wouldn't let me order you a pizza, but I'm talking to your mother tomorrow. We're getting pizza tomorrow. So what's been your latest COVID crazy? What was your day like today? Oh, didn't you go yesterday? You went for a walk, you said. So how was that? I can't believe you go for a walk. I haven't dared to go for a walk yet. What was that like?
Let me tell you one of the things that was really great about today, and then I'll go backwards.
Okay.
One of the really great things, like the universe was cooperating with my birthday. There were no deliveries. Nothing came to the house. It was so good. I didn't have to put gloves on and peroxide anything. It was a free pass today. So that was really good. Okay, so that was today. Yesterday, what happened was my mother really wants to walk around the neighborhood. It was a beautiful day. And she's saying, you know, there's nobody out there. And I said, I see people without masks. No, they're all wearing masks. So this complex it's garden apartments. So you might not really see what's out on the street. It's like a court. So you don't really see.
Explain a garden apartment is a very New York thing, but it's when apartments are in like a square or a U, and there's grass in the middle, and you walk around a path, right? That's a garden apartment, correct?
Pretty much,
okay.
Yeah.
So there was no people in the garden, but there might be people on the street.
Right. So it's, you know, my mother and I get along really well, but I really kind of flipped out the fact that she wanted to go outside and get some air.
Robin is saying something. Hang on. We got to see what Robin is saying in the middle of all of this. Robin says, no deliveries, look outside. Oh, Roberta, will you go look outside? Because it sounds like
because no, she's not allowed to touch the door. The doorknob.
It sounds like Robin had something said to you, though. We want to know. Inquiring minds want to know. Roberta, can you put on a pair of gloves and open the door and see if there's anything outside?
Is there really something out there? Then I'll go. I'll put a glove on and go.
Right, go. And Roberta, come sit in Cindy's seat while she goes and looks. Because Robin says go look outside. Because inquiring minds want to know what's out there. All right, so let's see what. Hi, Roberta. It's good to see you.
Hi.
Let's see what everybody's saying. Debbie says we're both.
I have to be sanitized before I can walk out.
You have to get sanitized.
Then I'm sanitized.
I have to show you a picture. I was saving this for Cindy. This is for Cindy and I. The COVID crazies.
She just said, OMG, there is something outside.
Oh, Robin, that's such good timing. I love this. This is wonderful. I want to show a picture that I saved for Cindy especially. This is what I'm going to wear so that I can see my boyfriend. I'm going to buy us both this. Hang on.
Oh, wow.
I'm waiting for it to
wow.
Huh.
This is wow. OMG.
Look. Wait. What do we have?
This is so
right. That's what we're gonna wear, so that and we're gonna be completely covered. This girl has her ears open. Oh my God, Cindy got a big thing.
Don't touch it.
Oh my God. Oh, look, Robin sent something from Prime today. Robin, what a boy.
Something else. There's some water, but I touched it with the other hand. I have one gloved hand, and one naked hand. So I have to wash my hands before I come back.
All right, then I have to show you this picture of how this is what I'm ordering so that my boyfriend and I can see each other and get within. Right? It's true. It's like plastic. And this girl, she put her mask up and wore glasses. She must cover her ears, though. I will be covering my ears. And if we wear these, then we can hug.
That is the funniest thing.
Oh, I gotta show you the other picture. There's more to it because we can actually kiss. I'm going to show you how we can kiss.
Wait till she comes back.
This is okay. Well, I'm going to post it now. And then I'm going to post it now, and then it'll be here when Cindy comes.
That's hilarious.
Is that hysterical? But I really think that's a secret, right? If we do that, we can hug, and if we do this, we can kiss. Look.
That should be in the newspaper.
We'll be wearing that blue outfit plus the mask, and then we can kiss like that. And if you think I'm kidding, I'm not. If this,
I know you're not kidding.
if this look, this is what my boyfriend and I are gonna wear, and that's how we're gonna kiss.
What is that?
He's wearing like a plastic jumpsuit, completely covered. With my ears and my eyes will be covered as well. Glasses and earmuffs and the mask, and then we can hug and kiss.
Oh my God, that's funny. You're serious? You have
All right, you think I'm kidding. He thought I was kidding. But if this goes on another 2 weeks, I'm not kidding. I'm going to find a way to order this.
Oh, you want to hear something really funny? I just washed my hands and I sang happy birthday twice to myself.
I know. I get it. Okay, so do we think it's flowers? You said there's water.
No, there's one thing that there's a whole bunch of these fizzy waters. And then there's, you know what I think it is? Because what I really, really, really wanted, I wrote on my page, I wanted frozen fake chicken. I have a feeling that it might be that.
Frozen fake chicken.
That's
So
what
it's
I
in
want.
a cold pack? It felt like a cold pack?
I don't know. I didn't touch it.
You can't open it? With your gloves on, you can't open it? Cindy, if it's refrigerated or frozen, you got to open it. You're going to have to open it. Come on, we want to know what Robin sent
You
you.
give me a lot of orders. Oh yeah.
Come on, this is from Robin. We want to know what it is. We want to know the birthday. All right, go ahead. Go.
Because my mother slipped. You know what was really nice? When I just went into the hallway, the people upstairs opened the door and they said they're watching your show, and so they wanted to see what the packages were, and they said if I don't want to touch it, they'll touch it.
Go. Put your gloves on and tell us what Robin sent you for
Oh,
your
and they can
birthday.
hear me. Hi, Tom and Joan. Okay, I'm going to. Isn't that really nice? Okay, so I forget everybody's on here together. Okay, so I'm going to go get the package.
Okay, Cindy's going to go.
Ordinarily, I would put it on my lap and open it for you, but I can't do that. I can't have it touch my pets.
We
God,
understand.
we have a breakdown right on live television.
The COVID crazy understands that you can't put it on your lap.
Who else was in our club? Was it Toby Simmons was in our club? And there was
is in the COVID, and Sandy Gunnar is in our club. Of the COVID crazy. Toby says, "Open it." The other COVID crazy says,
oh,
"Open it."
like the bossiest audience ever. All right. Okay.
So we're going to get Cindy to break all her rules.
I threw out that other glove. Now I have to waste new gloves on it again.
Well, first of all, I have to teach you my method with the gloves. I know they're disposable. I wash them in my hand when my hands are in them. I wash with soap and water all the time with the gloves. I take them off and I use them again.
I have a big bag of like 100 gloves. I didn't know what to do with them.
Yeah, but you know how fast you're going to go through 100 gloves? We're insane.
No, those are the dirty ones. I don't know. I didn't want to get rid of them.
You wash them, that's all.
Okay, this is kind of important. if I open that package for all of you, because you really want to know what's in it, if I take it out of there, I don't know what's in it. If I take it out of there and it's, let's say it's frozen, then I immediately have to disinfect it while you're on here. You know what I mean? Like, because what am I going to do with it? Put it back in the bag? So could I just have a plan before I go over there and I open it up?
So here's the plan.
Okay.
A baggie. Have a baggie at the ready. An empty baggie. As soon as you take it out of the paper bag, which I suggest you either cut with scissors or rip with your gloves on, you take whatever's in there, you show it to us, and it immediately goes in a baggie, which your mother, with her plain hands, will seal. And then you put it in the freezer and take your gloves off.
Okay, got it. Okay, all right. Yeah, I got it. You know what? I got a big box of 10-gallon bags from, I think it's Costco, and there's 500 of them. And isn't that good? 500 bags? You know, that's like really good. I know.
It's excellent. Yes. I got a big thing of baggies from Costco too. We are now going to find out what Robin sent Cindy for her birthday that's going to make her happy. Robin, I'm so excited that you did this while we were on the air, that she gets to open your present. So, no fake chicken available, Robin says. So don't get your hopes up.
What?
No fake chicken.
Really? That's what he said.
No fake chicken.
Yes,
Use sandwich baggie. Oh, Toby says you can use sandwich baggies for your hands if you don't have gloves. That's smart.
No, but like, look, I have this. See this big, big, big bag, right? Big,
Excellent.
big. Okay, so I'm going to put that at the ready over here. Got it?
Okay.
Okay. Are you sure? Is anybody still watching?
Yes, we still have people watching. We need to see the present. We need to know what it is. It's not frozen chicken. Inquiring minds want to know. That's another line. Never put in your script. Inquiring minds want to know. That's okay. So let's see what everyone's saying. So fucking funny. Good. She's a hoot. Yes, she is. Cindy's. Yeah, that's why she wrote for all these television shows, because she's funny. Let's see. I love her mom's. Her mom's fabulous. Roberta is the best. We love Roberta. Roberta, come into the picture. We're not looking at you. So Roberta, when did you know that Cindy was funny? Did you always move over more? Did you always know Cindy was funny?
I can go this way or this way.
No, the other way. The other way. Yeah, that way. Did you always know Cindy was funny?
I don't know. I don't think I've thought about it. You know, I just knew that she liked to watch comedies.
Uh-huh.
So
Did you watch them with her?
The what? Did I watch it? Yeah, sometimes. Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm. But I knew what her likes were, and I knew that she wanted to be a writer. But she actually wanted to be a phys ed teacher. She started out that. Yeah, she was going to be a phys ed teacher.
No kidding.
Yeah,
so now
sports.
Now those whole Zumba classes start to make a whole lot more sense.
Sure, that's what she was going to be. And,
did you guys go to Zumba class today?
When she did student teaching, she decided she didn't like it. It wasn't for her. And that's when she gave it up. And then she liked broadcasting, so she did that. She worked for Channel 67 out on the island. So she was leaning toward the entertainment field.
Did I don't hear any squeals from back there from Cindy. You have to have that thing open by now.
What is that?
Chocolate berry carnival. Oh, that looks
There's
good.
a lot of this kind of stuff.
What is that?
It's like trail mix.
I would just put it in the freezer.
No, these are you don't refrigerate them.
No, you don't have to refrigerate them.
No. We're good.
Excellent.
I've never actually done a thank you note through Zoom to Robin through you. And now these are contaminated too. So one of the things that I was going to tell you, because you were asking about my interest, how did I get from phys ed to was, do you remember Roseanne Scamardella from Eyewitness?
Sure.
Well, I was at a women's liberation march.
By the way.
No.
Yeah,
and
go ahead. Yeah.
I was at a women's liberation march when I was 17, and I was
Uh-huh.
interviewed by her on the local news. And then I thought, wow, that's like really cool. You could be on TV all the time and like go back, behind the scenes. And then I thought I wanted to be a broadcast journalist. So that was the step in between. Roseanne Scamardella, who then they, immortalized as Gilda Radner's
Roseanne Madonna.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. So, all right. So yesterday, so tell us yesterday's story and then we'll wrap. We've been on the air for an hour and a half. It's like flying by. It's more than an hour and a half already. And Debbie wrote yum. I don't know how she got that on the screen. How did that come on the screen?
What do you mean?
Debbie somehow got a message up on the screen and it says yum. How did she do that? Look.
I mean, how did she do that? Ooh,
I don't know. Debbie, how did you do that? Oh, I see. I showed it. I can show the comments. I did not know that.
Oh.
Wow. Oh, you helped me learn something. Oh, this is exciting. Okay. So you did good, Robin. I'm sure that chocolate-covered berry trail mix is going to be dessert tonight, right? You got some chocolate.
Remember, anybody who thinks I'm not responding to them, I can't really see the comments. They're too small.
I'm trying hard to read them. So Toby says we need part 2 tomorrow. So tell us what happened yesterday when you guys went for your walk.
So my mother was really, really upset that I didn't want to let her out. So I came up.
I didn't want to let her out.
Out of my cage.
Robin always says there's something wrong with you beagles. You have to go out all the time. Not me. The rest of them all have to go out. I can stay in the house and find nothing to do in the house. So anyway, I came up with a plan. The plan was to get in the car, drive around the neighborhood, point out the people without the masks, and then convince my mother that this is not a safe place to be, and that constantly jumping out of the way is horrifying and stressful, and that's not how I want to spend any time at all. So that was my plan.
Yeah.
She was annoyed, but she agreed because at least she was going to get to walk from here to the car. So, she also made a suggestion that we go visit my friend who lives in Port Washington, and I thought we don't want to use gas because then I got to put gas in the car and touch stuff. So this was within 5 minutes away.
Okay, so this is what I wanted to ask you about in keeping with this. So I have not been driving mostly because I don't want to have to put gas in the car.
Right.
And I'm terrified that if I go to a gas station that's empty and I pull up to a pump, that somebody's going to pull up next to me and they're going to be right there. And then what do you do? Of course I'm going to have my mask and my gloves and my hood and all of that stuff, but still, I don't want to be. No, right? What if they have a mask? It's horrifying. I have to go to the bank, and I'm like, I keep putting it off because I don't want to go.
No way. I would put that in my mattress. I'd put that.
But but I can go to the drive-in. I just don't trust the bank with the drive-in. That's the only thing. If I'm handing them cash, I don't trust those tellers. They lie. Look, you're getting so much love. So you end up for a walk?
So what happened was we get in the car, and as we go onto the street, it was perfect for me to point out that half the people, if you look to the right, maybe it was okay because there were a couple of mask wearers, but you look to the left, no, half the people did not have masks. So I just drove around the neighborhood so my mother could see that half the people, and the way, you'd have to take 4 steps, jump to the side, let those people pass. The other thing that I said to my mother, look, if let's say they're walking and they're not coughing and they're not sneezing, but they're breathing, and then we walk behind them, you have to assume that they're COVID positive. You just, and I'm sorry, Debbie, Debbie, who we met the other day, I like COVID people. I do.
Even though Debbie tested positive, she's not foodie land.
I know.
Debbie.
I'm just, I don't want her to think that I don't like, but if they don't have the negative test, I don't want to walk behind them and breathe the COVID germ. I just don't. And even if they're fine, to me, they're just big balls with those red things sticking out. Everybody looks like that's too big.
The COVID is green, but yeah.
So we went over to Great Neck South Middle School, where my mother worked for 30 years until like 4 years ago, she worked there. Uh-huh. And the last time we went on the track, there were 4 people. 2 had masks and 2 did not. Okay. So we looked and I saw the people without masks and I said, this is not going to work. So we went to where the buses drop the kids off because nobody's going to walk over there. It's just a road, it looks like a track, but it's not. It's in front of the school. We walked there. It was pretty good. And then some young guy that, didn't have a mask, kind of ran within 20 feet of us. And that was upsetting, but it was okay. I could kind of handle it. The wind was blowing. Hopefully it didn't blow on us. I don't know. So it really is very stressful to take a walk without people around. I'm like in that Twilight episode. I hate people. I don't hate people, but I hate them with COVID. So.
No, we don't hate Debbie.
I love Debbie.
Yeah, we love Debbie. Debbie wrote, I still love you, by the way. And she's negative now. Debbie's negative now. Yes, she's negative. We love Debbie. Yeah. Listen, I have a respiratory disease and she's a respiratory therapist. It's like the best person I could possibly find on this planet. So it's good. It's all good. Yeah. Uh-huh. So you did get out and walk. You did or you didn't?
I did get out. My mother is much happier. I probably could keep her cooped up for another week, so she'll ask to go out again. I don't know.
It's rough. I haven't gone for one walk yet. I haven't done that. I have been outside a couple times, but I haven't gone for a walk, which I speed walk every day. I miss it so much. I think I'm actually going to see my boyfriend tomorrow, and I don't think I can order one of those blue suits in time. I really need a hug really bad. Do you two hug each other? Do you do that so that you have?
We're not really huggers, but now we're really not going to be huggers. I said, my mother touched the green beans that I hadn't washed off that I had delivered yesterday, and she practically threw them up in the air. But I went, what are you doing? You're touching the green beans. That I didn't put peroxide on the outside, so she has to be quarantined now for 5 to 7 days.
The quarantine period's getting shorter because when this whole thing first started, they told us a 2-week period, and it's really not. Everything that I've read, it's 3 to 5 days that you kind of know if you got sick, if you got infected. That seems to be the threshold. I don't know if that's so. So a couple things that I read today. I have not watched the news today. Anderson Cooper's doing a special tomorrow night that I'm going to watch. I pick and choose dealing with the news, but I did get a couple of things into my inbox. And one thing that it said today is that they're driving up U-Hauls of bodies in New York to funeral parlors. And this is just unfathomable to me. And it's unfathomable to me that they're considering opening up New York City. And I know Andrew Cuomo is under tremendous pressure to put businesses back, but I just, in a place like that, where it's on top of each other.
Yeah. Today he did say, he still thinks, he gave the numbers today and he said, this is terrible news. So he's not going to be opening up, at least around New York. I mean, the numbers are very, very high here. My friend who went to her mother's funeral, killed by COVID, said anybody who thinks it's phony, go to a cemetery in New York and you'll see it's not, because it's just, grave after grave that's open. It's really,
but it's also where they're taking all bodies to what is it called, where they have like all the unmarked graves, Potter's Field, where it's just coffin after coffin after coffin.
It's terrible. It's terrible. So that's why I like to stay in the house. We stay in our little place and we close the door tight so the angel of death hopefully will pass over. Here it's really.
Did you put a on the door?
What?
Did you put lamb blood on the door so I can
No.
pass over so the angel of death goes by?
No.
Let's read some comments before we go. Let's see if anybody's got. Dave says he went out for a walk Sunday. Nice. Also, a line, you probably should never use gas. Okay, I don't know what that means. These don't make sense out of Debbie says she loves you. Since you brought up gas, what if someone has gas near you? Can you get COVID from that? Oh, what if someone has gas, the other kind of gas? I don't know. That's a question I will not be asking anybody. All right, I'm looking quickly and I don't see any questions. Was that the start of Rosanna Dana? Yes, it was the start, Sharon, of Rosanna Dana, Roseanne Scarpiello. And her family has a restaurant that I've been to in New York. I don't know if they still do, but it was a very good Italian restaurant in New York, actually. So anyway, Cindy, thank you so much for doing this. Roberta, stick your head in. It was so good to see you.
Poke your head in.
I miss you guys so much. For those of you that don't know, Cindy and Roberta and I were running around a lot last summer and in the fall and going to screenings, and we saw Adam Schiff, the rock star who I wish was running for president and hopefully will be in the next election. But we did a lot of fun things, and I hope that it's not too far away that we get to, they're testing that drug. Oh, that's the other thing I read today. They're not testing, they're giving. Dr. Fauci. Now, I know there are people who think that he's hired by pharmaceutical and he's a bad man. I think he's a wonderful man. I love Dr. Fauci.
Yeah.
And I don't believe any of those conspiracy theories things with him.
Yeah.
But that remdesivir, is that what it's called, remdesivir? They are actually giving it now. And they're not just giving it in trials. They say that the FDA is about to approve it, I believe, so that they can treat people with it. And so they've been having some good fortune with it. It doesn't seem to work on people who are gravely ill. Once people get to a certain point, the drug hasn't been helpful. But for people that are just getting sick or whatever, Sandy Helberg is with us. Do you know Sandy?
Yeah, he's a big actor, isn't he?
Sandy was in a lot of Mel Brooks movies. He was in Spaceballs and in a bunch of Mel Brooks movies. And he's married to Harriet Helberg, who was a huge casting director in the day. And Harriet is responsible for a lot of people I know, their careers break. They're a wonderful couple. They've been married for like ever. They're amazing, like 40 years. And they got married at the Plaza Hotel in New York. Isn't that romantic?
Yeah.
Yeah, really cool. Well, Cindy, thank you so much for doing this today. I'm so glad that it worked. And I'm so glad that you were my first guest on Game Changers COVID.
Good.
My first real successful guest on Game Changers COVID. And I'm so grateful that you come every day to Shooting the Shit. And you really are like the Ed McMahon. You always have well, you're funnier than Ed McMahon ever dreamt of being. But it's so great that you're there. I do feel like you're my sidekick on the daily live, and thank you so much for doing that. And it's been great to actually look at you while we're having the conversation, which is fantastic.
And I love your friends and the followers and the people that watch. They're great. I love the people you know.
We've really become, and especially this group of us that every day, we've really become a connective community that I've become very dependent upon for my joy, my daily joy. So all of you out there, Toby, Tony, Debbie, Sharon, Dave, Rob, Tova, Trish. Wait, I want to get all the names of everybody. Eileen, Deborah, Sandy, Mary, GC, God, there's just so many of you that I am so grateful for your presence on a regular basis. And Robin, thanks for giving us the little what's behind door number 3. That was a little let's make a deal here on Game Changers COVID edition. Thank you so much. Thank you to everybody out there watching, and we'll see you tomorrow on Shooting the Shit with Vicki, and hopefully Cindy and Roberta will be joining us, and there'll be more.
Bye. Thank you.
Happy birthday.
Oh, you
Tomorrow,
made
people,
me happy. Thank you.
we're working out pizza tomorrow. We're doing it. All right. Good night, everybody.
Yeah.